AskReddit.
Warning, viewers discretion advised. Please subscribe to our channel and we have 20 more videos on our channel to entertain you. You can recommend to us what videos you want us to make. Dark Reddit family can work it out for you. Also click the notification bell icon. What's the dumbest thing you've seen someone do at a store? The woman who was arguing with me, I was working in the produce department of a grocery store, about how she didn't like how one side of the watermelon was flatter, paler, and a little dirty. I said, that's just how they get when they are on the ground. What do you mean, when they are on the ground? She thought watermelons grew on trees. Okay, but imagine if they did grow on trees. Like instead of possibly getting hit with an apple that fell off the tree, you just get demolished by a damn watermelon. Lol. Worked at a pet store and watched a guy try and shove a huge aquarium filter in his hoodie. Then he had the balls to approach the counter with this protruding abnormally from his belly and tried to buy something. I laughed and told him to return it or I'd call the cops. He looked shook up, waddled back to the aisle and put it on the shelf. Told him on the way out to never return. Another one from the pet store was back when Finding Nemo came out. A guy called in about getting a clownfish. So we explained the requirements of setting up a saltwater tank. The guy says, oh well, that's way too much work, can't I just paint a goldfish? We all had a good laugh about that one. My girlfriend works at a reptile store. There are signs plastered on every surface that clearly say, do not open any cages, ask a representative if you want to see an animal. Well, these two girls strolled in and just decided they were going to open up the tank of a Burmese python, which is a massive snake that if hungry, would probably not hesitate to attempt to feast on a hand. Luckily a couple employees saw and flipped out on them. To this day I do not know what made those girls think they had any business opening and reaching into a giant snake's tank. I used to work in a pet store in a super small rural town. People would often drop off litters of kittens that we would more or less give away. They were in a pen, and it was very common for people to reach in to pet them or take them out to hold them. I walked into the fish room one day only to find that some dude had gotten out a kitten, given it to his young child, and was just standing there while his kid tried to shove it into a fish tank. I couldn't believe I had to be the one to stop that from happening. You tend to see a lot of stupid and terrible things working in a pet store. That one stands out. Okay, so I was at work in an ice cream shop. A lady comes in and orders a vanilla milkshake. She gets this nasty look on her face when I add the milk, but shrugs it off when I ask her about it. So I'm ringing her out, and she pays, and then goes right to my owner and complains about the service. I'd like to let you know that the boy who just served me, I'm 19, was very rude to me. What did he do, ma'am? He made my milkshake with milk in it, and I'm lactose intolerant. I demand a refund and for him to be fired. I'm just sitting here dumbfounded how anyone could be so stupid. Ice cream, by its very nature, has milk. What did your boss say to her? I really want to know what happened. My boss called her stupid and told her to get out essentially. She angrily stormed off and left a bad review, which doesn't mean anything really since other customers who were inside flamed her because she was in the wrong. Furniture store I worked at. Smaller items, anything smaller than a recliner, could be arranged to be shipped to the store for pickup, saving the customer the delivery fee, but the customer just has to bring a proper vehicle to pick it up. So a couple comes in saying they have an order to pick up. I ask if they have the receipt, we give a physical paper one and an email one, and they say yes, but don't get anything from a pocket. After about 10 seconds of silence I say, can I have it? To which they reply, I don't see how that's relevant, let me talk to the manager. Manager was right there since I was fairly new and eventually got the receipt from them. They paid their remaining balance and I got the item for them, a twin-sized bunk bed. These people had a tiny car, Civic or something, and it was packed up like they were going on a month-long road trip, and they complained about us not telling them the box would be that big. Packaging dimensions are listed online. They had to leave it with us. They never came back for their fully paid for bed. We sent it back to the warehouse and sold it again. Edit. Forgot the best part. They left a 1-star review of the store and acted like we were the villains for not giving them, who could have been randos off the street, until they gave us the receipt, their product, and for not helping them load it into their car. The review was taken down. We had a good laugh about it the next morning. Store isn't quite right, but I used to work at a hotel that was dog-friendly. One night someone came to the lobby, grabbed a newspaper, and then grabbed a cookie from the ceramic jar labeled "Woof" directly above the dog bowl. He bit into it before I could stop him, and his embarrassment quickly switched to rage when he realized his mistake and that I had seen it. He, without exaggeration, screamed full volume for a minimum of 15 minutes about how awful it is on our part to have dog treats that look like cookies. They were the most generic dog treat you can imagine. I've never seen a human cookie look like one, in a jar without a label, the jar said woof. I think the dumb part wasn't even the mistake of eating it, but the attempt to blame us for his own stupidity, haha. I made dog treats a couple years ago around Christmas. I sent a plate with my husband to his parents' house. He later told me that the cookies I made weren't very good. I asked what cookies? He didn't pay attention when I said they were dog treats, and everyone at the house had the cookies. They were peanut butter and whole wheat flour, so ultimately nothing weird or meaty flavored, just really bland. When my friend got married at the beach, her mom made these little seashell soaps as favors. The bride's grandma was a racist, mean old witch who complained about everything and smoked so much her sense of smell was gone. She ate one of the soaps thinking it was white chocolate. She said these are terrible and ate a second one. Edit. We all laughed. I worked at Albertsons in Boise, Idaho quite a few years ago. We had a man named Harley Brown come into the store with a rifle. We thought that he was going to rob us, but instead he went to customer service with it and asked if he could pawn it so that he could get beer. Yes, I realize that Reddit is supposed to be anonymous, but Harley Brown is a matter of public record as he tried to run for POTUS a couple of times in the past. The dude is a straight-up cook. He says that God told him personally that it was his destiny to be POTUS. No joke. This actually happened today. I'm a food and drink vendor, so I go to different stores every day to see if they need anything that we sell. There's a lot of dumb stuff that happens, but this one is still fresh. So I'm in an aisle at one of these stores, and this old man wearing a mask, which is good, calls out to me and asks me if I work at said store. This happens a lot and it's not a big deal. I tell him, sorry no, I'm a vendor. He laughs and apologizes. I walk away and proceed 3 aisles down. Same guy comes up to me and asks me again. I tell him that I'm the same guy he just asked. He laughs and apologizes profusely. He then says that he's looking for coffee filters and can't find it. Having an idea of where it is, I walk him to the aisle where the coffee is and point to where the filters are on the shelf. Nothing really dumb going on at this point. Just a little funny. He then starts to firmly pat me on both shoulders continuously while thanking me. This guy has a mask on but just reached out and rubbed his hands all over me. Fucking A. I was working the customer service desk at a grocery store a few years ago. We sold Keurig coffee makers. Some dude tried to steal one, box and all, by putting it under his hoodie and walking out the door. When confronted by management for his obviously box-shaped torso, he decided to sprint for the door. The door he chose only opens automatically from one direction, not the one he was going either. So he slams face first into the door, broke a pane of glass, and knocked himself the fuck out. I was on the floor struggling to breath from laughter for a solid 5 minutes. I would have loved to see that. Imagine a bonk sound used to work at a hotel. The sliding glass doors were locked at night for security, but you could get in if you swiped your key in the key reader. There were large professionally printed signs stating this. Watching people walk right by them and bounce off the doors was one of my favorite parts of second shift. Texas stores are weird. At night, some of them will lock the door on the right side, but it's something you wise up to after living here for a while. I was in a racetrack gas station convenience store at about 3 a.m. I was buying gas and I went inside to pay first. A guy comes in, looks around, opens the cooler and grabs a 12-pack of Bud Light, Bud Light, seriously man? And runs for the door. I'm guessing he wasn't from Texas because he hit that right-hand door going full tilt boogie, and I swear he bounced. Broke his nose, knocked himself out and laid there groaning when the deputies showed up to take his ass to jail. They weren't real happy with dealing with such a dipshit and they just kind of slid his ass out to the patrol car by his jacket collar. Had to hurt. I live in Detroit. At a gas station I used to work at, we'd lock the door on the right a while before closing because it could only be locked from the inside and it was important to not forget and also not ideal to be in this shady-ass neighborhood fucking with door locks when we're closing up at 11 p.m. if you locked the left door first by mistake. I was in a village pantry in Indiana once around 2 a.m. I go up to the counter to get my cigarettes and I'm just making general chit-chat with the cashier when the front door bursts open and in runs a dude looking frantic. He whipped his head around like he was looking for something, then his eyes settled on the wall-mounted fire extinguisher. He ran over, ripped it off the wall, and just hauled ass out of the store. The clerk and I were speechless. I always wondered if he managed to put out that fire. Edit. Managed, not mentioned. This was me and I don't think I've seen anything more dumb. I was 4 and we went to the pet store. I wanted a frog and a fish. My dad said no. When he wasn't looking, I pocketed a goldfish and a frog. When we got to the car, I showed my dad. He made me return them. The frog made it, the fish did not. I can't stop laughing right now. Rest in peace, Goldfish. Worked at a sporting goods store in the hunting and fishing section, but often had to assist the camping section where the propane grills were located. This guy bought a boxed-up grill, and I was told to go help this guy load up this grill out back. Now these grills are in boxes that are like 3x4 or so. I'm waiting here with this grill expecting someone to pull up in a truck or at least like a big SUV or something. Nah. This guy pulls up in a Nissan Altima. I look at the grill and back to this guy, just super perplexed. We try to hoist a grill in this guy's car, but it's obviously not going in. The guy starts getting pissed that I'm not God and can't bend the laws of physics to fit in his small car. Around this time I look at my watch and notice that it's time for me to clock out. As a part-time employee, they were very strict about our hours. I called my manager and let him deal with that one. There was also a lady who claimed to be a law enforcement agent who brought in this pistol that she claimed she bought at our store. She said that the pistol kept jamming and that we should do something about it. Turns out, she had bought the pistol from some friend who had bought it from our store, but not our store's location. The lady got pissed off and left while telling us that we should not sell firearms that we haven't tested. I was buying alcohol with a fake kid in high school for a friend and a buddy of his who I didn't really know. We were all at the checkout in the liquor store, and his dumbass friend decided to try to steal a lighter from the counter while the clerk was ringing us up. The guy working the register was basically looking right at us, so he obviously saw and told the guy to put the lighter back. Instead of just putting it back, this kid decided to play dumb and act like he didn't take anything. The guy working the register yelled to the security guard who blocked the door and told the kid to turn his pockets inside out. Of course, the lighter fell out onto the floor and 4 or 5 shooters that I didn't even realize he had pocketed while we were in the store. I was sweating bullets because I thought they were going to call the cops and I was going to get busted when they figured out I wasn't 21. Luckily, the guy working the register was cool about it and just told us to get out of the store. I never understood why the kid didn't just put the lighter back, considering how much other shit he had stolen that would have gone unnoticed. I always went into the store alone when using my fake after that. Remember the golden rule. Break one law at a time. A couple of months ago, I was getting out of a supermarket and a woman with a baby in a stroller approached me. She asked me to buy her 4 big bottles of water. My dumbest thought she's saying buy me 4 jars of tomato paste. So I went back in and bought 4 jars of tomato paste, and when I came back the lady was dying out of laughter. I still am ashamed of what I did. Coronavirus hoax. A man claiming to have coronavirus in a hazmat suit, spraying Lysol all over the place and scaring the shit out of everyone. Police took his ass to jail. Now he's facing felony charges over something that was easily avoidable. People who open containers of ice cream and lick it are up there as well, also the guys who take those whipped cream aerosol cans and suck the nitrous oxide to get high without paying for it. That stuff kills people, yet they still do it over and over again. The number of grown-ass adults who couldn't handle a simple shopping trip, then proceeded to get in their car and drive off, was highly alarming. There was one middle-aged regular who couldn't work the card machine. Held her card up and snapped, "I have this, what do I do with this?" Then she snapped at every screen. "What is it saying now?" "It's asking if you want to donate." "What do I push?" "Do you want to donate?" "No." "Then push no." She would do this every time she came in. A customer threatened to shoot me because I wouldn't sell him any bullets. Teenagers girl pushing another girl in a trolley right past store workers screaming their heads off. Lol, if this is the dumbest, but I was at the store with my BF, and when we were exiting, this old bigger lady with a huge ass stopped right in front of us. When she stopped, apparently BF wasn't looking and hit the cart right into her butt. She was super mad and was like, "Well, go ahead then," and then we just walked past. Lol. He said he was sorry and it was clearly an accident, but she was a huge bitch about it anyway. The fuck are you doing stopping dead in the middle of the exit doors in a busy grocery store anyway? I was in jeans and a t-shirt in a department store, and a Karen approached me, wanting to know where something was. It was clear Karen thought I worked there. I told her, in an annoyed voice, that I very clearly didn't work there and was shopping with my family. Karen demanded I get my manager to complain about my behavior. I offered to wait there whilst she found a manager. A few minutes later, Karen came back and started furiously pointing at me and telling the manager he needed to do something. At this point I had my daughter in my arms and my wife was next to me. Karen still wasn't convinced.
Like, comment and subscribe and also press the bell notification. We are coming up with best stories for you, stay tuned.